Hey gang, Uncle Todd here, and we're looking at episode 6 of Fall of the House of Usher. Well, in the aftermath of Victorine's murder-suicide, Fredrick manages to take the heart machine out of Victorine's girlfriend and brings it back to the office. It is, of course, Fortunato property. The police, of course, are investigating, but because of the Usher's political connections, once again, Pym gets to go through and take anything that belongs to Fortunato. That includes files, hard drives, equipment. At one point, I think he's even taking the murder-suicide weapon. One of the more interesting things he finds is the file of Verna's when she was applying for the heart operation. Tracking down the address on the ID she had given, he finds it is the Usher's old family home. The one where Dupin and Fredrick are right now discussing all this. Now, an interesting point is Fredrick's visions are mostly of his dead children. And as he tells each story, that one starts to appear more prominently. And he tells Dupin, things that he couldn't know because he wasn't there. And he explains, oh, well, my children told me. Before they died? No, after. Anyway, some more judicious digging, and we find that Pym has uncovered something that is impossible. He shows this to Madeline and Fredrick, which is he shows them first the pictures he already had of Verna being at those areas that where the children died, and then he starts showing pictures of Verna with Ted Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court Justice, Koch brothers, J. Paul Getty. They keep going back farther and farther, about 120 years, roughly, that he's found, thanks to Madeline's new computer programs. And the thing is, Fredrick's like, well, this could just be photoshopped. He's like, the thing is, these pictures, some of them have been online for decades. Whoever's doing this has got to be a deep state thing. So we work in deep state and everything. Of course, Madeline is convinced, no, it is not a deep state thing. Believe your eyes. This is some kind of supernatural thing, which, of course, the rest scoff at. Meanwhile, Tamerline is getting ready to launch her beauty youth lifestyle company, in which you pay and you get boxes that are full of product specifically made for the individual. Nobody gets the same box. It's called the Goldbug. Anyway, she hasn't been sleeping much, and she keeps zonking out and then waking up and finding things have been done that she doesn't remember doing. She and her husband, soon to be ex, have a final fight in which, when he hears about the death of her other sibling, of Victorine, he goes to see if she needs anything, and she says no, and I don't need you, and according to her prenup, you get the shirt on your back, if that. Leave your keys on the way out. And then she has a moment where she starts to apologize and looks up, and he's not there, and the keys are. She's blanked out again. Meanwhile, over at Fredrick's, we get a nice little bit of foreshadowing where Lenore and her mother are watching the end of the Karloff Lugosi classic, The Raven. Specifically, the part concerning the pendulum. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If not, there's a man stuck under a pendulum that's getting lower. The scene is towards the end of the movie where he gets rescued. So we probably know what the next episode is going to be about. Anyway, we also learned that the reason Fredrick wanted to bring her home was so that he could inject her with drugs from Fortunato, in which she is basically paralyzed, but still aware. Basically trapping her in her own body, unable to communicate. When it wears off, she's actually able to start talking, and she talks a little to her daughter. And of course, Fredrick, hearing this, he increases the dosage. He is very much wanting to punish her for, he believes, cheating on him with his youngest brother, even though she didn't. But she did lie and go to the rave, so even Lenore is starting to notice her father's not acting right. So that's probably going to come to a head. Back to Tamerline. She prepares for the big launch. And it starts out pretty decent. And then as it goes along, she starts seeing Verna. And she starts losing focus. And then suddenly, now, not sure if everyone can see this, but she certainly can, where the film behind her changes to one of the voyeuristic recordings of Tamerline watching her husband and a prostitute, and she's giving them orders on what she wants to see. And she flips out and starts smashing the monitors with a mic stand and looking into the audience. She sees Verna and flings the mic stand at her. Only Verna was apparently behind Juno, and Juno gets hit in the head with the mic stand. Now, as she was starting to flip out, Madeline immediately realized Verna must be there. And so she slaps her glasses on because, well, she's in her 60s. And starts frantically searching the audience and sees her at the end of one of the rows. And she runs up to her and grabs her, only to have her disappear in like a cloud of ash. If you've ever seen The Dead Don't Die, the one with Bill Murray and Andrew Driver, looks like that. And when she looks down at her hands, they're all covered in black ash. So we're actually getting some positive proof there's something really supernatural going on, as if we didn't have proof before. This is the clincher, at least for Madeline. Tamerline goes home and she's frantic, and Verna starts taunting her from the mirrors, and using a fireplace poker she starts smashing the mirrors, causing a lot of damage to herself with the flying glass. She gets it in her face and she's stepped on it, and she's getting more frantic, and finally in the bedroom she looks up and she's in the mirror above the bed, and in a fit of reasonless rage she jumps up and smashes that mirror, only to fall back on the bed and have all that glass fall down on her. And it's not like little itty bitty pieces, there's some huge, and so luckily done in long shots so we don't have to see how nasty it got. But yeah, there's only one child left now. And the another subplot is, because of all the children dying, they're losing control of the board, and so Roderick is calling up all the other board members that aren't family and strong-arming them into staying behind the brother and sister as the people who make all decisions at the company. Obviously, Fredrick has a lot of dirt on everybody thanks to Pym. Oh, and we also get a little backstory on Pym. Apparently, he talked his way into an expedition back in the 80s when he was in his early 20s and went all the way to the North Pole, but he never says what he saw there. Although there are some allusions he told about, Hollow Earth, Island at the Top of the World, other references to different Poe stories. Yeah, another good episode. We're going towards the climax. The family has fallen apart, and I find it interesting just how awful the children are, because it's obvious, even the ones that didn't even come into his life until they were adults. He didn't bring them in until they were adults. They were raised by their mothers until he found out about them. Then he brought them in and brought them into the company. And even those that weren't raised by him are just awful people. It's amazing. I mean, his legitimate children, the first two, from his wife with Annabelle, those you can understand because they're raised by a man that became pretty controlling. But the ones who are already adults, wow. Even they are sucked into his poisonousness. Oh, and in the flashback, Fredrick sneaks into the basement and starts copying files. Don't know if he gets caught. Maybe find out another time. But yeah, that was the episode, and I thought it was pretty good. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.